gentlemen, and welcome to the Intel Extreme Masters Singapore here from the Southeast Asian region, as we now have some pretty awesome games on the way for you today. We've had qualifiers all the way from Korea through to Europe and America. Some of those players will be battling out later on, but for the first 2 days, or for the first day, I believe, we have the open bracket. My name's Kyle Aris, along with Todd. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. You had the chance to cast some of those qualifiers. Which one exactly?
I cast the Korean one, and I wanted to cast the European one, but I missed out on it for some reason. So that's a little bit sad for me.
That's it. You're up for analysis then.
There we
you
go.
already know these players.
The Korean one, the Korean qualifier was actually fantastic. We had the CJ Entus players, Hero and Hydra, advancing on from that. But some really, really close calls from those guys, like Curious, for example, who was actually going to be participating in the open bracket today. He didn't do too badly, but we also saw him not do too badly at New York as well previously at the Intel Extreme Masters. So for me, in these open brackets, that's the guy that I'm looking out for. Curious, he's always a pretty cool guy.
You want to see him play versus Mech so we can have a remake of his game versus Flash.
Maybe. Curious, he's got a place in my heart for how he plays Zerg.
And he plays Select first here.
Yes, he does. That is going to be in the second open bracket, of course. For now, though, we have our first open bracket, which includes people like NesTea, Avenge, San, Pig, Squirtle, local home heroes such as BlysK. And actually, that's going to be our first match, I believe. It's going to be NesTea versus BlysK.
I don't know anything about BlysK. I'm going to be honest here. I've never heard of this guy. It's going to be interesting to see a new guy, discover a new player here. And he plays Protoss, so might learn one or two things maybe. Playing against NesTea, whom we haven't seen much at all recently, if not at all. Well, when was the last time we saw NesTea playing an official match?
I think it's when we actually saw him in WCS America, like Challenger, I think, of all places. But as you can see here, guys, this is going to be the first bracket for today. Double elimination, and 2 players will advance through into the group stages. Interestingly enough, because we had a dropout during the group stages, there will be a potential for a 3rd player to go through from one of these brackets. So basically, whoever finishes 3rd in this group will play 3rd place from the second bracket, from the second open bracket.
Oh, wow.
And they will advance on as well. Yeah. So, as you can see, NesTea versus BlysK, then Avenge versus San, Target versus Feast, Pig versus Squirtle. They're all actually really good games, and we initially wanted to cast Pig versus Squirtle, but Squirtle was not here for a little bit, so we actually have NesTea versus BlysK first, which is quite an interesting matchup in my opinion, because you have a player like BlysK here who isn't that well known. The last time I saw him play was actually here last year at Singapore.
So that's BlysK. I saw him today. I didn't know it was him.
Yeah. He plays for Flash e.sports, and he actually, there was the anticipation that he was going to go to Intel Extreme Masters China, but he didn't in the end. But now he's here representing in his hometown, and I'm looking forward to seeing him play. I was speaking to him earlier a little bit. He was looking into the mind of NesTea, who has always been a player that's, previously he shone greatly, but as of late, we haven't really seen that greatness come from NesTea, have we?
I mean, could be busy managing the world and all that,
Yeah.
He's the creator of the universe after all. But there's a big question mark on this matchup just from both of these players too, because I'm not familiar with BlysK and NesTea. We haven't seen him for some time. Anything's possible here, and it's going to be interesting to see what strategy they go for and how well they execute it, because we don't know what to expect from them.
Yeah, I certainly think so. NesTea actually, considering his recent PvP performances, he actually hasn't done too badly. Taking a PvP series most recently off a player who was also here in the form of Avenge is pretty good, considering Avenge I rank very, very highly in terms of Protoss as of late. He'll be playing San in this open bracket at the very beginning. But what I want to say is, I was speaking to BlysK before. I was speaking to him about what he's going to how he's going into this, because BlysK's not that well known. He's not that well known in the international scene. He does represent Singapore here. So I wanted to kind of get a little bit more as to how he was going to approach this matchup. And he's going to play very paranoid, very, very scouting heavy.
That sounds horrible.
These are his words. These are his words.
You can't say paranoid. You would have to say like safe. If you say paranoid, it's like you're like all scared of anything that might be thrown at you. You're like scouting for everything.
That's true. Well, this is why you're here, Todd. So you can give us the insight into a pro's mind.
Okay.
Okay.
Did
so
he use that word?
He did use this word.
Okay, I feel paranoid for him now.
Well, okay. So there is that. And he's also focusing on the potential of maybe a muta switch coming from a player like NesTea.
I would be worried about it too.
Yeah, you have to be as a Protoss. It's always there in the back of your mind. But aside from the brackets that we have today, the open brackets, these are the groups. These are the players that have already gone through from the Korean qualifier, European qualifier, American qualifier, C, and as well as China. You have Shigua there from the Chinese region, and then you have King Kong from the Southeast Asian region, and then the other ones you can kind of get a grasp of already come from. Hook was the player that did end up dropping out, so that is why we have 2 TBA spots in Group A.
Yeah. And in Group C, Hero, not to be mistaken for that model guy who plays for Team Liquid.
That model guy.
This is CJ's Hero we're talking about here, another Protoss. And wow, those groups look actually really strong.
They are. Oh,
once the people from the open bracket join them, it's going to be insane. There's going to be fireworks in this tournament, man.
You're right. It's a massively stacked tournament. I think we may see the rise of heroes across the entire weekend, as I think Mr. Liquid Heroes participating in another tournament, whilst we have CJ Hero here, who looked phenomenal in the Korean qualifiers. Hydra, CJ Hydra, looked unstoppable in that qualifier up until the point where Hero just decided, nah, I'm just going to kill you.
And the return of Grubby to Singapore.
Yeah.
He had a great showing previously here, and he's going to want to look to do a repeat, I'm sure.
It was a little bit of a heartbreaker for Grubby in the original Intel Extreme Masters Singapore. Got to the final, playing against Sting there, taking it to all 5 maps, and then trying to proxy 2-gate his opponent, who he thought was going to command center first, but didn't in the end, so Sting was able to take the victory.
Story of my life.
Story of... Well, but the thing that I am looking forward to most here in these groups is Group C, Scarlet versus Bomber. We've already seen those two playing one another quite a bit recently, but as you can see, NesTea getting ready here for his first game against BlysK. And for NesTea, I feel that he probably thinks that this is going to be a bit of a walkover for him. He doesn't know BlysK, he's never heard of the guy, or at least maybe he has heard of the guy, but he doesn't know too much about him is what I'm trying to say. So maybe NesTea sees this as a stepping stone to play against either Avenge or San.
He doesn't think it, he knows it.
He knows
He's the creator of the universe, he decides the outcome of everything. If he loses, it's only because he's going to choose to.
It's like foretold, and well, BlysK's going to try and stand in his way. The good thing for BlysK is that, you know, in comparison to a player like NesTea, NesTea's expected to win this series, right? Whereas BlysK, he comes in with, you know, I'm the underdog, I know I'm the underdog, I'm just going to give it my best and see what happens. He was mentioning previously that he took a lot of his inspiration in Wings of Liberty from players like Sase, and actually carries over similar builds into Heart of the Swarm, but just integrates things like, you know, the Mothership Core in there as well. So tries to keep it a little bit lively and tries to entertain, which is cool to hear from BlysK.
Who says he tries? Maybe he just plays and he's just like entertaining, not on purpose.
Well, he tries, man. He tries. Okay. So I am looking forward to seeing some of BlysK games here. He has a piece of paper ready to find out, which is...
It's his strategy book.
Yeah, that is... It's a foregone...
Oh, wow. He actually has a piece of paper.
Yeah, of course, man. And a piece of paper around his wrists. But it's not quite the notebook that we saw from Straylock and WCS Europe all that time ago in Season 1. But he's studying. He's studying. He's keeping on top of things.
What do you think is written on the paper?
Probably not build order.
Scout for Roach all in.
Scout for Roach all in.
At 4 minutes. Scout for fast lair.
One thing he was mentioning to me is the fact that he feels that his opponent plays very, very Zergling heavy early on and delays his Roach Warren quite often. And he kind of extrapolated this from NesTea's games in WCS America Season 3 and Challenger. So we could see the potential of you know, him trying to go for something a bit more aggressive if he thinks he's only going to be against Zerglings. But he doesn't... BlysK mentioned that he didn't want to win with any kind of like cheesy moves. He wants to go in with like macro focus, macro plays, and try and topple NesTea at his own game, which is a pretty cool thing, I think.
Okay, yeah, that's not necessarily the way as an underdog, you will go into a match. Sometimes you're going to play one of those very strong Koreans and tell to yourself, well, you know, I don't really have a good chance of winning in a super solid style in the long game, so I'm just going to try for cheese or a gamble here and there. But I like his approach here. I mean, if he plays to his best capability, I mean, I don't know what he's capable of, but I would guess he's pretty good if he's here representing Singapore. If he plays his best and just plays solid, doesn't let any huge mistakes make him fall too far behind that he can't come back, this could work. This could work very well, especially, I mean, versus NesTea, who we haven't seen much from, which could mean he's maybe not in his best shape either. I guess we're going to find out. I like the way he's going into this.
Yeah, I do as well. And realizing that he's on camera. Actually, you know, that could have been very interesting timed, but you know, I think that NesTea coming into this, I'm very curious to see actually what he's going to do, because he could quite easily just avoid anything he wants to like reveal. He may think that, you know, BlysK is, yes, he's his first Protoss opponent, but his real Protoss opponent lies in the next series, either against Avenge or San. So but he might want to kind of keep things hidden.
The thing is also NesTea, I think he's one of those Zerg players that can play almost any style. If he wants to play Roach Hydra Viper, he's very capable of doing that very well. If he wants to play with Roach into Muta transition, he's going to be able to make that work as well. So as much as what you say is true, he's also not going to be bothered too much by not having to play his best right here, possibly.
Okay, well, we'll see what he wants to do. I'm certainly looking forward to this. It's been a while since I've seen NesTea play, and it's also actually been a long while since I've actually even cast NesTea. So this is going to be pretty cool. It's nice to see NesTea back and trying to plug away at this. The most recent stuff he's done, aside from WCS America, was the tournament that was over in the Russian area, I believe, where he was playing against Happy Zergs and the like, I think. So he went on a little bit of an excursion with MVP, and they had some fun over there, winning some money.
Story of their life.
Yeah, they win quite a bit of it, I must admit. They do win quite a bit of money, which is always quite nice. But NesTea here, the odd thing about NesTea is that despite him having such great heights in his career and winning all those GSLs, he is currently sat at a performance level which is his worst since before his first GSL win. So in terms of raw statistics, that NesTea does not sit at the best position right now. So he could be toppled at any given point, I would say.
He's the creator of the universe, man. You think he cares about statistics?
I guess not, man. I guess not. He'll throw them all into a black hole, and then they'll be gone, and NesTea will continue to live on his merry life. But, well, we are just waiting for the invites here, guys, for our first series as NesTea and BlysK get ready for the first here at the Intel Extreme Masters Singapore. But I'm looking forward to it. I've already been enjoying Singapore quite a lot. Singapore's a very nice place. Bit warm, bit sticky, but it gets the job done. Have you been to Singapore many times?
I think just once.
Just
before,
once?
For WCG.
Ah.
A long time ago. I was still young. I took fourth. Behind Grubby, he took third.
Behind Grubby? Yeah. Damn that Grubster.
Barely beat me in the third place match. He got lucky. No, I'm just kidding.
You got lucky? Okay. We'll talk to him about it later.
No, I'm
not. Oh, Grubby. Yeah, indeed, he is here as well somewhere. I think he might not be showing up today, considering he's in the groups, as he qualified on through with Happy from the European region. And we also have Scarlet from America. Again, we did previously have Hook, but he decided not to attend, as he wants a bit of rest, which is completely fine. And now, once again, we're just waiting for our invites here. So aside from this matchup, aside from NesTea BlysK that we're casting, is there anything in our first bracket that really kind of takes your fancy? I thought Avenge versus San would be a very cool PvP. Anything that interests you in this bracket?
Squirtle versus Pig for me is the highlights here. Yeah, because Squirtle, he's been playing extremely well recently versus Zerg, and Pig comes in prepared. He's got the opportunity to study his opponents. I think he kind of knows what to expect from Squirtle, and I mean, he expects not only a strong showing, but also some very good and refine strategies. So definitely going to be the highlight of this group for me. Squirtle, the huge favorite, but I do think that Pig can do it, and well, I hope for him.
Yeah, I mean, technically, Pig only really has to prepare for majoritively Protoss, right? So, I mean, Squirtle is a really tall order. It's a tall challenge, but I don't. I think he does have a chance, considering I actually watched Pig's blog before this, and he was, really
his
studying his vlog. Yeah, okay, not his article.
Oh, careful here.
Sorry.
You don't want to start with me before the first match even started, James.
But no, he seemed to be in a very, very, a bit more of a confident position than one would normally be going up against somebody like Squirtle. So that's pretty cool to see from Pig. And he recently won the SCS, which is basically the Southeast Asian equivalent of like a kind of a mini WCS, and he won that against Arthur, the previous Slayers Arthur, previous Western Wolves Arthur, who he had a really, really hard time against for a long time in the Southeast Asian scene.
But I think beating Arthur is not as impressive as beating the guys that he beat before, Max Zed and King Kong.
Yeah.
Beating these guys in a tournament means you're really in a good shape, and I mean that's good signs here, showing for Pig going into this tournament.
Very good. It's very rare that those guys in the Southeast Asian region get a chance to actually shine. We don't really see too much of them. But once Pig, he comes along to these tournaments. At last Intel Extreme Masters Singapore, he actually performed extremely well in the groups and only just barely got knocked down during that group stage. So it was a bit of unfortunate there for Pig. But I think he could do well here. It's going to be a tough open bracket for him, but I certainly think he can take some games off these guys, if not series.
Okay, I think the game is about to be getting underway here in a minute. We're going to have Belshir Vestige as first map, which, it's no secret, my favorite map.
Yeah.
So, good choice by BlysK if he took it. Maybe NesTea took it. He's like, I don't care about maps. I'll play anything. Sometimes when you're very confident and you're going against a player that you consider a lesser player, you're not going to be as careful as you would usually against someone else regarding maps. So as much as I have no idea if that's the case here, I think a lot of Zergs, they will remove Belshir Vestige versus Protoss, but Aquilon maybe as well. I really feel like these days Zergs, they've been more comfortable on Aquilon, playing on Aquilon than Belshir Vestige. Then again, it really depends on players.
Yeah. I mean, Aquilon's certainly one that is very, very useful to get rid of if you don't want to go into those big, big games. Yeah, it's very easy for Protoss to hunker down there and just get into their own mentality. But now, guys, game number 1 is loading up here between BlysK and NesTea for our first series of the day. They're playing in the booths to the left and right here of our stage. And I am looking forward to this. Intel Extreme Masters Singapore. It's been a long time coming, as we have spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner our red Protoss representing Flash eSports. He is BlysK. And up to the top left-hand corner, we have the creator of the universe himself, representing Incredible Miracle. He is NesTea.
Flash eSports, huh? First time I heard about that team.
Yeah.
You think it's like a tribute? Yeah, I was wondering if this word was English. Actually, hey. I was gonna say homage because in French it's what they're used. Can you say tribute as well? Tribute to Flash? No.
Yeah, you can. Okay. I guess. Homage is the better way to go, though. We're already in there with the languages, Todd. We're doing well.
From the first second a game starts.
Sick. All right. Okay. So. Yeah, I think it certainly could be, and I won't be surprised. There's a lot of fans everywhere for Flash, but NesTea now, our creator of the universe, what's he going to pull out here against BlysK? Now, BlysK mentioned that he was going to be careful for things like proxy hatcheries, just anything that kind of crazy that might go on from someone like NesTea. But I don't think NesTea would end up doing that here in the first game. That would be a bit too crazy, I think.
I wouldn't have been surprised if he had gone for a hatchery block.
Yeah.
Because Koreans, they're always ahead of the meta game, and I think they figured out a lot more when it is good to hatch block and when not. They know all the variances in the build order, what you must do and not do. In this game, he went for the hatchery first plus the drone scout at about the same time, which is a little bit unusual.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised by this. Is there anything that he could be doing with this drone, or is this not... Is there still a window available to him by which he can block, basically?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I don't see why else he would scout at this time. And since he's not getting a pull right now or a gas, I think this is going to be a hatch block. Oh, is it?
Certainly looks
Thinking
like
about it. And yeah, he goes for it.
But
that's a pretty sick timing. Like, he puts down the first hatchery on his expansion and goes to scout at the same time. And I guess he knows that versus Gateway, there's going to be nothing at the expansion. So he can just throw down the hatchery. But now we see the first Zealot being chrono boosted out. The second one might follow. This is not going to do that much.
It's very important to note here that BlysK anticipated something like this happening. So he went in with the mindset of being able to deal with this if it were to come along. He already opened up a gateway in base, so he's cranking out his tech a little bit quicker than it normally would have been if he'd have gone for a bit more of an economy focus. And that Zealot is going to start whacking away. And NesTea already adding on the gas here.
Yeah, I mean, this is okay. You can't really go hatch on the expansion of your opponent to block it, and then take double expansion. I think that would be a little bit too much.
Bit crazy, bit crazy.
So going for speed here, I completely agree. Well, I'm guessing he's going to go for speed.
Yeah.
And I think the good choice, the right choice here would probably be to cancel, because this hatchery is going to take a lot of damage. He will come out with very little hit points, but then again, there will be a little bit of creep on the expansion if it does come out, which looks like it will. Okay, cancels at the last second. There is still a little bit of creep, not gonna last long though. And I like the reaction of BlysK here. He was only using 2+2 on his gases for a while, and now when he's almost got the optimal mining on his minerals, he starts resuming with 3 on one of his gases and on the other one as well.
Yep, very impressive plays here by BlysK so far. Again, the anticipation from him was good, and he is able to deal with that. Speed is on the way, as we mentioned previously, for NesTea, just to be able to deal with any kind of gateway pressure that would come along, as well as a little bit of a flood of Zerglings to deal with that. And in turn, Stargate already goes down for BlysK. So, you know, he's opening up a lot of options for himself. He can use this for Phoenix, which I'm guessing is going to be the likely option here. Just wants to make sure he can transition on nicely.
Yeah, an Oracle will do okay, I think, too.
Yeah?
Just one Oracle, then into Phoenixes or Void Race. This is pretty good, because it comes out very quickly. And then with the speed, you get across the map very, very quickly as well. You can start sniping drones. There's never going to be more than one queen in the main. And even if your opponent gets spores, it's spores that you force that early on, that your opponent has to waste one drone in each base plus the 100 minerals for making the spore.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot. It really is. And NesTea, well, he's going to move across here with these Zerglings, because you don't want them to just be idle, right? You've got to, if you've made these units, you actually want them to be doing something. So maybe intercepting that Zealot is a great little option for him. And Speed's going to finish, so, I mean, even if that Zealot were a little bit quicker, he wouldn't survive much longer.
The 75 minerals, I'm sorry. Not 100.
That's 75. Who where? Whoop, has to be very careful there. Sentry blocks that out, and will be able to defend quite nicely.
I meant for the spore. BlysK from here, he's going for Phoenixes. I think if he throws down a quick Robo and starts going into Colossus, a lot of the time he's going to be forcing Hydralisk out of his opponent. He will be in a pretty okay position, so we'll see if it's what he chooses to go for. He's adding on a gases at his expansion a little bit early, and oh, he has to be careful. I saw him chrono boosting his next side a few times and not actually be producing probes. You see, in his main, he's not making probes right now. He's just started again. And in his expansion, like he should have way more probes than he does right now. So maybe, I don't know if it's how he usually plays it, but I really feel like this is a huge mistake he's doing right now by not producing walkers as continuously as he should.
That's a very good point. I mean, he was sat at around 36, 37 for just a little while there, whilst we're having NesTea rocket up onto 45, adding on a few more drones as well. Even add on additional queens here for the defense. So he's going to be going up to 6 queens. He's already adding on melee upgrades. So this looks to me as if he's anticipating BlysK going for like a 3rd base and maybe trying to punish that if that were to go down by any chance.
Yeah, I mean, putting some links there is quite smart. I'm surprised he doesn't have an Overlord nearby, actually. I guess he lost the one to the Phoenixes, but he had only one near the natural of BlysK. So because of that...
Lots of Overlords in production.
He actually has an Overlord hidden on the bottom right-hand side of the map.
Oh, yeah.
How did he get there? NesTea is a ninja, man.
He is. He certainly is. There were 3 Overlords in production there. He's already started a few Lings production as well. Lots of Overlords, lots of Lings. He's going to try and pressure this 3rd base as strongly as possible. Now, will he go? Actually, you normally see it go before the melee upgrade actually finishes.
And the overload flies in now for NesTea into the main of BlysK. He might be able to see the timing that the Robo was made at. He should see that it's up. And with all these Zerglings, it's going to be pretty hard for BlysK to hold his third here. He needs to wall a cannon off and to start warping in Zealots.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, right now, normally here at this point for a Protoss, you would see that wall up that you just mentioned, right? You would see gateways with that cannon being walled in for it fully. But that is a lot of Zerglings, and those sentries are going to be very, very vulnerable indeed.
Ooh, he has to be careful. Zerglings are streaming in. He might have to force field all around his sentries. He gets them to safety. Oh, this is huge that there is no cannon and wall off at the third base now. The Zerglings, you know, there is no photon overcharge that can be used because the Nexus is not up yet.
Force Field's going to have to try and wrap around and hook these sentries for a second as he will push some of those Zerglings away.
Yeah, but look at how many more Zerglings are joining the party here. There's so many of them. He's going to try to get a surround on the sentries, I think. BlysK is going to need perfect Force Fields. He uses a hallucination that's... Oh, okay. No run-in will be allowed into the natural, and the Zerglings get in there now.
So let's be careful, there's a lot of Zerglings here, 60 in total. Photon Overcharge will help this out quite nicely, and actually BlysK has found himself a good position with those sentries and zealots. Really, really nicely done considering the position.
Too much hesitation here by NesTea. If he had gone for it straight away, before the third Nexus was up, and without trying a run-by into the natural, he would have done a lot better, but 15 drones on the way, and we have the Colossus tech starting now. For BlysK, well, actually not yet, because he's supply blocked.
You know, if BlysK can actually keep this third up with these Lings just still running around, and now that he has a good army size, he can, then I think BlysK is in a pretty good spot here. Whoa, doesn't want to get too many of those units caught out of position. Still force fields, trapping some of those Zerglings in, and allowing some of those sentries to actually die off in the process. He loses a little bit of gas in that, just for pure minerals, but still not too bad a hold in the end, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he killed Zerglings and he lost sentries, so...
It's a bad trade.
Could have been a lot better. He could have played it a little bit safer. And sometimes you don't realize going into this fight, you're like, I need to kill those Zerglings. You let them get too close, and then if you trade sentries against Zerglings, it's never that good for you. But NesTea, he starts a Spire, he gets some Infestors, and he starts a Hive as well. This is a little bit weird here, I have to say. I think he knows his opponent is going for Colossi, and he's anticipating some kind of late timing. So he might try and go for Broodlords. I don't think this is going to be Muta almost ever here, because he already spent all of his gas. And I think if he maybe gets an Ultralisk Cavern for safety and takes to Broodlord, he's going to be in a great position. So if the timing comes in very quickly, he can get Ultras and be safe. If it doesn't, then he just gets Corruptors and Broodlords, against which, I mean, it's going to be pretty hard for BlysK to do anything, because he's getting his Triad Council quite late in this game.
I like it from NesTea, especially considering that he's had this melee upgrade focus all game long, so it's really going to hinge on that later game presence here from NesTea if he wants to really kind of crush down onto the positions of BlysK. And, well, he does spot the fourth base there for just a second, and may have also spotted the Infestation tech.
Oh, I like this move. He's moving out, and, I mean, this could go very wrong if he gets Fungal into place and Corruptors tech on this Colossi, then the Zerglings will have a field day on the ground killing these Stalkers. It's going to be super easy for them to deal with this. But NesTea actually evacuates his force here for a second. He seems worried. He's not maxed out yet. He doesn't have a huge supply lead, so he might play it safe. And I mean, it's all going to come down to the Fungals, I feel, in this position. The Phoenixes could do a lot as well. This might be why he's worried, but Warp isn't flies into the main.
Yeah, good moves by BlysK. He's really kind of drawing NesTea thin here, as he's going to hit that fourth base, whilst also drawing all of those Zerglings up to the main. And, you know, BlysK is getting that free expansion, whilst all the Corruptors were a little bit late, and he starts the Fleet Beacon off the back of this.
I agree with the Templar Archives. Getting charge is okay as well. I really thought for a moment here that he should be getting Blink, not charge. And he forgot actually 2 sentries, 1 zealot behind. But getting charge is okay. And I think the Fleet Beacon... Okay, at first I thought this was going to be for Mutas, but now I realize he's anticipating Broodlord, so this is actually pretty smart.
Yeah.
Then he wouldn't need Blink.
I mean, exactly. It deals with a lot, right? It just deals with everything that NesTea would be wanting to go for here.
He cancels charge and he gets Blink instead. Changing his mind.
Well, I guess
he heard me agreeing with him.
Yeah.
Do that.
Well, it's great.
Not gonna listen to this caster.
It's like you get the Fleet Beacon, you have either the Anion Pulse Crystals if he wants to go for the Mutas, or you just have the Tempests, and he's actually going to set up some pylons over on the right-hand side here.
Yeah, Ninja Probe. But I like how that probe was like forgot about, and then he's like, well, I guess while you're here, I might as well make some pylons there. And I think the best way to use this is to wait until NesTea moves across the map and then send in some Zealots into his expansions.
Yeah, it's going to work out well for him if he does that. He's also walling off small sections near his natural as well as BlysK to just kind of narrow down any kind of attack path that his opponent would have, who is very, very Zergling heavy right now, even more so with the adrenal glands going down, so there's a big committal to that to be able to do some damage.
BlysK is playing pretty good. I like a lot of the details that he has done here. Like, for example, now he was going to take his force. He didn't send a probe alone. He sent a Zealot with it to escort it, to clean up the Zergling that was probably going to be there and that was there. But hold on, that's a big run by.
That is a lot of Zerglings here going down to that 4th base.
Oh, they could be trapped. If BlysK moved above... Oh, okay, he did not. If he moved above there, around that area, he would have had sentries everywhere to force field those links. And I mean, that would have been a huge loss here for NesTea, but that did not happen. And now Zealots were sent across the map to try and get a snipe on the hatchery. They're not going to get it, and they also reveal that there is a pylon nearby.
Yeah, that's true.
He might get a cancel on the force, though.
I was thinking that maybe it was a wise move, considering that the Zerglings that were the mobile part of his army were all the way over the other side of the map, so it would have taken them a longer to actually defend. But I think I have to go with what you say. You know, that reveals a lot without doing a huge amount of damage. But BlysK is moving up to the left-hand side as well. Yeah. He's got a Warp Prison in the main, sending in some more Zealots, trying to focus down that hive that is only protected by 1 Spine and a Queen. That's a lot of Zerglings, man.
The Queen has a bunch of transfuses, and Zerglings are going to go for a run by. They're almost getting into the natural here. BlysK needs to warp in extra Zealots.
Wow, there's actually combat everywhere. 3rd base is under assault. The natural is now breached. And look at this. BlysK is just going to try and march on forwards with these Stalkers. But they do have Blink, but they haven't actually blinked forwards here to try and kill off some of these Broodlords. He needs to get under there. He blinks with a few of them. They were locked out by the fungal growth. Realizes he can't continue. And does recall out.
He recalls in his 3rd base. I think in his natural would have been a lot better. He could have saved it then. And he left a Colossus and a Tempest behind, which is very important here. Both of those units are going to die. Wow, the main of NesTea actually almost died. He's on 400 hit points, but those Zerglings, they need to be stopped. NesTea now with a very huge supply lead.
It was very close. There was a few transfuses on it at the end. One Zealot was trying to whack away at it, but it didn't get it in the end. But NesTea has already killed off the natural. He's killed off the main. He's killed off a lot of the income of his opponent in general, who's down to 26 probes
and
against
he sniped 3
75.
Nexus.
Yeah,
Did he talk strategy with Happy before the game? Like, this is
just
unusual.
kill all the Nexi and then be fine. Impressive play here by NesTea, who's just completely run his opponent ragged at this point. There are some Zealots up in the 3rd base of NesTea trying to kill that off. And will they be able to get it? I don't think so in the end. The drones should be able to deal with that as well as the transfuse. But another Nexus has already been killed off down to that 3rd anyway. And the Broodlords, well, even if they don't do the crippling damage now, NesTea has a bank to be able to try and deal with this.
Yeah, they were kind of thrown away. I'm a little bit surprised by this. But
yeah.
I mean, NesTea, he's even got some angry links in the near the last Nexus of BlysK here. This was a very sloppy counter-attack, actually. Links were split away from the Broodlords, and NesTea kind of offered most of his army to his opponent here. I guess he's just so far ahead that it doesn't even matter anymore. Yeah. But still.
It could have gone a different way. It really could have this game. BlysK was looking pretty good up until the point where Lings just flooded in absolutely everywhere and he was completely out of position. But for now, NesTea, he rules the roost here in game number 1. He's even going for Swarm Hosts, because why not at this point? BlysK doesn't have any more Nexi.
And he's going to play the base trade here with some Zerglings. He's going to go and counter-attack. He doesn't have much at... Oh, where is his army? Oh, he's actually in 3rd base. He's got a bunch of Corruptors there, some Infestors, some Zerglings, and 3 Broodlords morphing right now. Let's see, he's actually very short on gas. Is there a way BlysK could win this? Are you kidding me? He's got a bunch of Archons, a Templar, some Colossus, some Void Ray.
He doesn't have a probe and he doesn't have any buildings on the other side, so I don't think so. Yeah. I think the Lings just kind of win out, right?
I think, yeah, those Zerglings eliminating BlysK right now, they're forcing him into attacking into this army, which is what NesTea wants right now. Yeah,
I mean, at this point, all the Corruptors are just going to dance around. He actually doesn't, I mean, NesTea doesn't even need to take the engagement, right?
Look at that Void Ray.
He's doing well for himself.
14 kills, the Corruptors are going to start killing everything left and right.
That one Void Ray turns around and kills all the Corruptors and we're like, wait a minute.
And BlysK is about to be eliminated. His last 3 buildings are going to fall and NesTea is going to take the first game. GG, well played gets called. And not as impressive as I thought this could be. I mean, BlysK, I like the way he went into this game. He played it pretty well. But NesTea, I mean, throwing his army like this with the counter attack, throwing it away, I'm a little bit surprised by it. I guess a lot of players maybe would have left after this happened because they know they are too far behind to win. But even like in the last fight now, it kind of felt like BlysK had a little bit of a chance. You know, he wasn't completely chanceless.
Yeah. Like, if he had a probe alive, then there would have maybe been more of a chance of him actually doing something. But of course,
that's your plan for Protoss to win this game, to have a probe alive and start making gases.
Look, man, I'm clutching at straws. I want BlysK to have some way to get it. He had 420 minerals. He could have made a Nexus.
Yeah, I guess.
But it's a tough one. It really is. There were a lot of corruptors there, man. There were still a lot of healthy corruptors, despite a few storms hitting them. And NesTea does reign supreme in game number 1. And we're going to get on to game number 2 here in just a second, as it will be Whirlwind to find out if NesTea can advance on 2-0. BlysK can bring it back. And from seeing game number 1, I think BlysK does have a shot at bringing it back.
Definitely. Like I said, I liked a lot of the details of the things that he did. Like, for example, the way he walled off his third, the center zealot to take his force. A lot of those small things, you know, that can be very important and that can completely change a game. His wall off at his expansion was okay. He always had a zealot there to make sure there was no run-by allowed. And he played very solid for the most part. It was just, he teched a little bit too late to Twilight Council. He seemed a little bit indecisive. I don't know why he canceled charge. He had so many zealots and he had to spend gas for something else. And also he was only on one Stargate. And he was making Void Race out of it. Why do you get the Fleet Beacon if you're going to do that?
Yeah.
He made one Tempest, which he left behind when he recalled. So definitely a few things that he could do better. But overall, this was a good showing, I feel, out of this guy.
Yeah, it was a sad game for that one poor Tempest that really didn't do too much in the middle of the map there. But, well, BlysK. Do you think that BlysK across those 3 bases and the strategy he was using, do you think he kind of spread himself too thinly in terms of tech and everything? Because if he'd have had a bit more of a concise army, you said he had a lot of zealots, for example, without charge, decides to cancel that, goes for blink, had one Stargate producing one Tempest for a Fleet Beacon, lots of like weird kind of investments that really didn't pay for themselves. Do you think he would have been better without just having those?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he didn't really need the Stargate. The way he was playing, since he only used one Stargate and made only one Tempest, few Void Rays, like you might as well not get the Stargate and get a lot more Blinkstalkers to deal with the Broodlords. But I like the way he got Stormed very quickly too. I think that was the problem. Like, he was trying to do too many things at the same time. And also, his macro maybe wasn't as good as some of the other top Protosses that we've seen recently with in making probes, taking a quick force and all that. Because it really felt like he didn't have as much as he should have sometimes. NesTea, on the other hand, beautiful injects. He teched super quickly. He did everything he had to. It was just the decision-making, some of his engagements as well, that weren't that great.
I actually want to come back to something you just said there in terms of beautiful injects, because if I remember correctly, a macro hatch either wasn't down or was down very late.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, he droned up very, very quickly after the hatch block that he went for.
Well, the thing is that how many Zerglings he had out for that kind of thing to happen, you must have great injects. Otherwise, you don't have the units necessary to, put on those counterattacks, keep your opponent back with a big chunk of Zerglings. And NesTea, he did it so well. So, and moving on to game number 2 here on Whirlwind, that's a style that can be prevalent here as well. He could, just use a lot of Zerglings to be highly mobile on the map and keep his opponent back. So. Okay, I think I might have to go with NesTea after all of that. All right, well, spawning down, in fact, up to the top left-hand corner here as our red Protoss. Currently 1 game down, we have Flash eSports BlysK representing Singapore. And down to the bottom left-hand corner, we have Incredible Miracles NesTea representing Korea.
Can you say spawning down in the top left-hand corner?
I changed it.
No, is it possible to say?
Spawning? No, probably not.
Spawning up?
I guess so. It depends. If you're Australian, you can probably do it because everything's reversed there. So actually, it makes sense.
We're in Southeast Asia.
Ah, perfect. Perfect. All right, I can say whatever I want then. Spawning a roundabout in the other left corner. That'll do. All right, so For now, Whirlwind is our map here in game number 2. NesTea. I think there were bumps and hitches in game number 1 from both players, but in the end, NesTea prevails. A lot of Zerglings.
Okay.
Whoa.
Forge 13 with a scout right behind. I think
Uh-oh.
BlysK here, he wants to look for a hatchery first and he wants to cannon it. And he's going to be fortunate enough to scout NesTea in the first position that he scouts for. And also, NesTea is going hatch first.
Uh-oh.
So it's going to be interesting here to see how NesTea defends against this.
Now, normally, if you don't end up scouting this position, you'd send out a second probe to the alternate location where your probe would go.
And he's already doing that.
Yeah, there we go. But he'll send that back pretty soon. Or he'll even send it to help.
That analysis.
Oh, thanks.
Great job.
Great stuff. Anyway.
After years of hanging out with me.
It's all down to you, Todd. Anyway, the probe's going to head in and actually look around and really not do too much at that expansion.
Wow, and he's not going to cannon.
What is going on?
He's getting a pylon on his expansion. I'm really surprised here. When you get forged this quick, you should always cannon a hatchery first.
Yeah. So is this just a straight-up mistake here from BlysK? Or because this could have been a more economic expansion play, right?
Yeah, I think it's a mistake from us for misreading this. Because apparently, like from what I see, he never planned to cannon at all. But then why would he get the pylon and the forge in his main? This is a little bit weird. Bringing that Singaporean touch to his play.
Yeah, I like it, man. I love going to these territories and seeing players that we don't necessarily see too much.
These territories?
Yeah, I call it, it's a territory. These old English colonies, they...
I like how there is a probe on the bottom right-hand side. He's going to be able to confirm the third base. And if he does not reveal that his probe is there, he could even proxy some pylons later on. No, he's not. Okay, he's going to check. No, he's not. What are you doing,
No,
probe?
he's not.
Oh, he's checking the other base. Oh, he barely checked. He barely missed it.
Yeah. Well, that's a little bit of a shame for him.
This is big. He barely missed the territory in which there was the hatchery here.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks. It's nice to know my co-caster's got my back. Well, he's going to head up there and see that. No, he doesn't. He's turned around again. Oh. Oh, BlysK. He turned around just barely before he even saw it.
And this probe's not even going to see anything. He's not even going to know about the upcoming speed being researched by NesTea. Wow, I really like NesTea's position now.
Sad life, probe. Well, not much done for you. Zergling even might get up there. Oh wait, no, this cannon already finished, never mind. But the Cybernetic is going to finish up in that wall as well. As you said, speed's on the way. Needs to complete this wall off, otherwise all hell would break loose.
Wow, and he has to send another probe because of this. This is bad. I mean, best case scenario here would be like BlysK proxy pylons at the bottom right-hand side of the map.
Yeah.
And so he has a proxy pylon there to send in some zealots later on. And then Scout, since he's the third base, comes home safe. Instead of that, no proxy pylon. He doesn't confirm the third. And then he dies. He loses his probe. So now he gets the confirmation, but he's lost so much minerals doing that.
You know what I'm very curious? Whoa, 3 overlords are in production, so I guess maybe he's actually going to go for a lot of lings here. But
All drones.
Yeah, or 20 drones, whatever.
All queens.
Oh, lots of queens. Okay, great. Okay. The one interesting thing that I'm thinking here is that BlysK mentioned before that he knew that NesTea likes a lot of Zerglings, right? And he knew that that was going to be the playstyle from him. We saw in the previous game that NesTea didn't even, really commit fully to a Roach Warren at any particular time.
Yeah.
So could BlysK do anything to punish this? Again, some kind of like 4-gate pressure with...
He could, but he won't.
Well,
because look at what he's doing.
Yeah.
He took the gas list at his expansion very early on. So unless he throws down the Twilight Council now and goes for an all-in, some kind of all-in with Zealots and Archons, he's not going to want to look to punish what you mentioned. And since he's going for Phoenix, it feels very unlikely that he will go for that. I think he's just going to go for a Robo and Colossus, just like in the previous game.
Well, NesTea's flying himself here. A few Zerglings poke away at the front, see what's going on, and just goes straight back to droning. Whilst adds on a few more gases here, which is just going to fuel double upgrades again. It's just going to fuel double evolution chambers with the melee, with the carapace, and NesTea's going to be playing his own... Oh, that one Zergling with a weird glitch out on that wall manages to spot that probe, but in the end, NesTea hasn't officially seen that. So that probe's going to survive for now.
And it really feels like BlysK is not going to be able to take a third anytime soon because he added gateways very, very late, and he only added 2 as well. So good on NesTea. I mean, he always gets those Zerglings, as you mentioned, and it's going to pay off kind of in this game already. 53 drones to 47 probes.
Todd, one evolution chamber. Is there only one evolution chamber down? Does that mean that he actually wants to go for Mutalist play here?
Possibly, but I mean, on this map, you don't necessarily have to open Mutas. I think opening with Roaches and just standard play and then going into Mutas later on. I've even played against Zergs that go for Roach, Hydra, Viper into Mutas on this map. Because if you go Roach, Hydra, Viper, you can't really die to anything. Like, you're even the one putting pressure on most of the time. And by a certain time, if you're on 5 bases, you can do a Muta switch at any time, because you're just going to be getting so much gas every minute.
I think that's what he might be doing here. Just using this range as like a mid-game kind of precautionary measure. Did he just see that Spire? Did he just see it?
He saw it.
He does see it.
And now he showed that he saw it by playing above it again. He should have pretended he doesn't know and then boost like 20 Phoenixes.
Well, the Hydralisk end's going down now, and it's actually going down at the 3rd base. So it's a little bit more out of the way there for those Phoenix to actually go and find. But if BlysK's on top of things, he can see that eventually.
Yeah. He needs to start the 3rd base. This is starting to be really late. He's going to start it at about the 10th minute on his I guess at 12 o'clock. But Zerglings are there. They could get a cancel maybe once on this if BlysK is not careful and NesTea chooses to go for it. War Prism plus Thermal Lens. Okay, this is unusual. Usually you get the War Prism before you start making Colossus.
He's loving his Zealot harassment, man. And it almost worked out for him. It almost worked out a couple of times. So if he can make it work here.
Some very low hit points hatcheries.
Yeah.
1,100 gas here for NesTea. And the Spire just finished. So I really feel like this Hydralisk then is just basically an anti-push thing. Oh, actually, yeah, I thought he was going to go for Mutas, but he goes for Corruptors.
Oh, Zerglings try and surround, but once again, BlysK with good force fields will push this away for now. The Zerglings might try and poke in at the natural, but for now, they're chilling out. 16 more drones are on the way, though, for NesTea, so he realizes that there's probably not a whole lot more he can do here with just this amount of Zerglings alone. So he's just going to go straight back to that droning. Very, very powerful, and goes back into melee upgrades. Look at that, with air upgrades as well.
These Corruptors were made very, very quickly. I think if BlysK goes for timing with his Zerglings plus his Corruptors, he just basically snipes the Phoenixes and the Colossi. And he says, well, welcome to the map, Colossi. You just died, and you might as well tech switch now, because you're not going to do anything ever. One Void Ray being made out of this target now, and the Twilight Council being made, I feel at a better timing than it was made in the previous game, and double extra targets. BlysK is going to go for Colossus Void Ray.
Well, and it leads to the opportunity to make a lot of Phoenix later on if he wants to, but I love seeing this air toss style, because I think against the current metagame that we see from a lot of Zergs, it works out so nicely.
And this is very lucky for him. Well, lucky. Let's not speak too quickly. 17 Mutas on the way. If BlysK realizes this is what's happening, he just gets a ton of Phoenixes and he's going to be fine. The thing is, NesTea is about to be on, he's on 4 bases, he's already taking a 5th. There is a probe there, so we could have a proxy. Okay, a pylon is being proxied now there. He's going to need to cancel on that. A Zerg on 10 gases snowballs a little bit too far out of control very, very quickly.
Too true.
And with the Infestation Pit on the way, I mean, even if there is Phoenixes with range on the map, you just get Infestors and Fungal, you take 2 Hive, you get Ultras, you're still going to do great as Zerg. And Dark Shrine being thrown down.
But look at this, man. I'm not sure he can deal with that fully right now. He has the 5 Phoenix.
As he's moving out.
Zone this out.
Does he recall?
I think he kind of has to, but not to the main, maybe to the natural, and then walks on up there. But
he's going to counter-attack.
Is it just straight base trade?
Yeah, it looks like. And I mean, this is going to be bad news here for BlysK, because
he doesn't have enough, I don't think. His army's not big enough. Look at it. It's measly. The ground army, the Zealot count.
He's supply block now. He cannot even warp in units in the 5th base of NesTea. He's going to go straight into the natural. And 2 more Void Rays on the way. I mean, the army of BlysK feels quite scary. I think that's why he chooses to counter-attack. He knew that he has 1 Colossus. He's getting a bunch of extra Void Rays. Zerglings doing for the counter-attack as well into the natural of BlysK. And those Mutas, man, they reign supreme.
Yeah, they really do. They're just absolutely dicing up everything. And with that, the Zerglings trying to get in there. Do you see what I did there? Do you like it? I'm putting a new flavor on #dicey. But Infestation Pit actually went down before Pathogen Glands finished up. So, well, I still don't think anything's going to happen. I just think Mutalist is going to kill everything. So, yeah.
And Swarm Hosts were made. I think this is smart here, especially since we have only 1 observer on the map. If he was able to snipe that, and this is across the map too. And Recall was used here. BlysK trying to defend his base. Can he do it? Those Void Rays really help against the Corruptors, but both of his bases have already taken quite some damage. I like the Zealot warping in the 5th base. And the main, well, the main's going to be saved by this Swarm Host, I guess.
Yeah, and those Zerglings, if they can get that at natural, that would be fantastic for them. If they can shut down some of this. Oh, but they barely save it. Fantastic, but here by BlysK. And he needs to keep shutting these other bases down.
If BlysK was on 50 probes, I think he would be in an, okay, not a good spot, maybe in an okay spot now, but he's only on 26 probes now against 83 drones. Spread out across 3 bases from NesTea. So NesTea, he just has to retake a 4th, retake a 5th, and he's going to be in a great position army-wise right now. He's on 90 army supply to 71, but it's really the worker count that's giving him a huge lead right now. And well, that one's Zealot and Dark Templar.
Yeah.
Not going to be dicing anything up in this.
Not anytime soon, sir. Not anytime soon, unfortunately for them. There was, small glimmers of hope if you could have killed off a layer and maybe found somewhere where there aren't spore crawlers to do some damage. But with all of the Sky play he's been utilizing, there was always going to be a lot of spore crawlers around. So the Dark Templars really didn't get too much done in the end.
Oh, the Nexus. Oh, NesTea goes for it and gets it.
Bye.
He had to know this was coming. Should have been boosting out Phoenixes, not Void Rays. The Mutas trade versus the Phoenixes. Nicely done here by NesTea. Great move and great control on his Mutas.
Yeah, and those Mutalisk numbers are just going to keep rapidly increasing here. He's going to go up to 30 Mutas very, very soon against 6 Stalkers, 4 Void Rays, 2 Phoenix. It's not going to be enough anti-air here for BlysK to really deal with. And even if he were able to deal with those Mutalisks, the Swarm Host transition is there. It is an opportunity.
At this point, I think NesTea can just attack and keep on trading. And I mean, he wouldn't even trade. He will probably finish off his opponent. But even if BlysK survived, then the next wave of units for NesTea will be too much. And he's playing it very safe by leaving the Swarm Host back at home and getting a whole bunch of spines there.
Yeah.
What happened to you, NesTea? Did you watch a Stefano VOD or something?
It seems so. But unfortunately, I don't think BlysK's going to get that far in this game if these Mutalisks have their way. Fly on in, kill a cannon, fly around, kill a Nexus, why not? That's going to go down pretty handily, and unfortunately those cannons not going to do a whole lot against that.
I like how this scene we just saw of the Muta sniping the Nexus is one of the favorite moments of Azure, but one of the most hated moments of the Protoss.
There's 2 camps out there, 2 camps. One that's very, very content and one that's not so much. Which one are you in, Todd?
You know. No NesTea alive on the map, and I think those Mutas, man, they're gonna reign supreme for the time being too. Those Phoenix is not able to do much without the range upgrades, and BlysK is about to run into a bunch of Infestors and Spines. He still forgot his Observer behind. He has 1 Observer, no 2 now, but no one of them is with his army. One of them is rejoining the army right now. He's just above it. But I mean, the Swarm Hosts were moved behind the Spines now, and the Mutas are gonna fly back home to get rid of this.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a shame here for BlysK in this series. I think that, in these 2 games, there could have been slight differences that would have cropped up for the outcome to be maybe slightly different. But for now, NesTea is in firm control, and all BlysK can do is go for the final push against 37 Mutalisks and 9 Swarm Hosts.
Bringing the probes as well, and the Mutas are going to fly in there.
Yeah, killing off everything in their path. Probes coming to the party as well, even bringing Vespene Gas as a gift. There you go, GG. NesTea, the creator of the universe, given Vespene Gas by the probes, and he'll take the 2-0.
I like the double time warp here at the end.
Did he throw it down?
Yeah, you didn't see?
No, I blacked out for a second.
Just on the left of the fight, it's like, well, you might have won the game, and you might be the creator of the universe, but I got time warp, man.
Yeah. And
There's 2 of them, and then tapped out.
NesTea, he's happy, and he advances on now. He's going to be playing against either Avenge or San in his next series.
Good luck.
That's a very, very tough one. San is one of the players that I think a few people out there will consider to have absolutely amazing ZVP. And then Avenge is no pushover, but we have seen the fact that NesTea recently has beaten Avenge. So I think NesTea would probably want to play Avenge more so than San, I would say. What?
I like how you're trying to read the mind of the creator of the universe. Who do you think you are, James?
I know. The audacity, right? The audacity. I'm sorry about that, guys. But BlysK here, he lives to fight another day. He goes down to the lower bracket, and we'll be playing against some players. I wonder if we can get... Do we have any updated results from the other games?
He doesn't live to fight another day. He lives to fight again today.
Okay.
Not sure if he's going to survive.
He lives to fight today. Okay. That's... Thanks, Todd. Okay, guys. We are going to take a short commercial break, and then when we are back, we shall have more StarCraft action here from the Intel Extreme Masters, Singapore.